famous Australians who left a legacy. Sir Donald Bradman, the Don, you heard of him. The Grim Reaper of cricket earned a ticket to the status of the greatest player ever to play the game. Same goes for Rocket Rod Laver, pocket god saviour of Australian tennis. Kathy Freeman carried the hopes of a nation and a race in a race to a gold medal. Hubert Opperman pedalled to Olympic glory. C.J. Dennis, Banjo Patterson, Henry Lawson, awesome wordsmiths of rhyme and story. Howard Florey invented penicillin and won a Nobel Prize. How many eyes were restored by Fred Hollows, that irascible rogue? And who follows those singing dames, Melba and Sutherland? Kylie Minogue. Jermaine Greer made a career out of sticking it up an establishment dominated by men. Patrick White was a prick of the pen. Brett Whiteley and Sidney Nolan lit a fire in the Australian art belly with a dead cow on the gallery steps and strange portraits of Ned Kelly. And then there's Shane Dolan. Shane Dolan, the Waterman. Who's heard of him? Well, he left a legacy too. This is his story. 2010. Shane Dolan's driving nails into a wooden crate at a rate that suggests he's a man in a hurry, but don't worry, mate. It's just that he knows how to use a hammer, and he's driving nails home, driving nails home, driving nails home. The crate's one of many filled with hard hats and well-digging gear bound for Tigray in Ethiopia. For many years, an arid dystopia of war and drought and protected by packing foam. Shane raised the money himself, loaded the boxes with some help from his mates, and now he's driving nails home, driving nails home, driving nails home. He's a tall guy, rangy build, sandy crew-cut hair, skilled with tools, a handy sort of bloke, drinks a bit but doesn't smoke or suffer fools. A tradie who was afraid he wasn't doing enough in a world that was doing it tough if the evening news was anything to go by. In 1990, he saw an ad in his local paper. Community aid abroad meets water technician. Experience with explosives, welding, drilling, Jane's usual caper. He was ready, able, willing, even though the job was in Tigray. Jammed between the Sudan, Eritrea and Ethiopia, it was about as far removed from utopia as you could get. Unsafe drinking water was the biggest killer of children under the age of 5. As if staying alive wasn't hard enough anyway, with the MiG jets of the Ethiopian regime bombing the fuck out of anything that moved, if they could find a fuck, because nobody gave a fuck about Tigray. Life in the remote villages was the same as in biblical days. Oxen ploughed the fields where yields were low and a man's toils were thwarted by depleted rocky soils, and crops were watered from clay urns carried on women's heads, often from miles away. Shane's briefing was brief, considering it was a tough gig. There wasn't a drilling rig in the land, but he put up his hand and been told it wasn't that bad. He was a Tassie lad, there was adventure to be had. I mean, Christ, how hard could it be? Boys' own annual without a war zone manual, just suck it and see. So Shane and his mate Peter Morrison snuck in late one night in an old Toyota truck with no brakes or light, driving blind on a landmine road, playing Russian roulette because a Russian jet would blow you away if you tried to travel during the day, so you could say it was a stressful introduction to the job. They were the only white guys in the area for years. Their job was to teach the villagers how to dig, line and plumb drinking water wells. But drilling rigs were as rare as rocking horse shit, as they used to say. So they adopted a simpler way an old outback well digger had taught Shane years before. When digging a bore through rock, me lad, and there's no rig to be had, then you just got to do it tough, by hand. And sooner or later, the hole's deep enough to drop in a stick of jelly. Then run like fuck, get down on your belly, and with a bit of luck a falling rock won't get you, and you can bet you got a good sized hole soon enough. It ain't rocket surgery, son. Just hard work. So they had a rock drill that was wonky, and a pick and a shovel and a crowbar and a sledgehammer and a wheelbarrow and a donkey, mustn't forget the donkey. And they were up to their ears with the happiest crew of volunteers in the world. The explosives were a problem. They didn't have any. And the only way to get some was to sneak into the Sudan at night, buy some on the black market, smuggle it back across the border. A tall order, because if you got caught, it was instant death, which wasn't in the job description, and the only inscription you'd get on your gravestone was "fool." Pete suggested they draw straws, but Shane said, no, it's cool. You got a kid, mate, and I haven't, so I'll go. They have to cough up with some dough, you bastard. Here, I got a couple of hundred, what do you got? 3 times he made that trip through the night. He's woken in fright ever since. So they dug a hole or two with a ragtag true, showed him how to do it, somehow got through it. Then after 3 years the regime folded and they were told it was time to go home to Australia. Shane and Pete's crusade had ended. They departed heavy-hearted, felt they'd barely started and risked their lives daily for what? A few villagers befriended, dug some holes in some rock, introduced the plumber's crack to Tigray, a notable cultural contribution, but not really what they'd intended. Back home in Tassie, Shane tried to be normal. There was no formal debriefing and his girlfriend quickly lost interest in the subject and then him. He soon realised his friends weren't particularly interested either, so he learned to shut up, didn't talk about it anymore. Bought a small earth-moving business but couldn't keep it going. Got angry, ground the gears on his machines, ground his teeth, the ground beneath his life crumbled away with his money and self-esteem, a bad dream he couldn't wake up from because he wasn't asleep. He'd slide down the street avoiding people, feeling suicidal and homicidal like a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. Finally hit the road to 180 acres he owned in the Huon Valley. All he had left, bereft of money, friends, hope, laughter. No happy ever after for him. Thought he might get away from it all, like in the castle, we're off to Bonnie Doon. Find some peace among the trees and the birds and the animals, but when he got there he just wanted to kill them too. They were dark, dark days in the forest with the black dog of depression as his only companion. Eventually he decided he may as well be of use to somebody. In 2001 he got a job at the Southern Tasmania Migrant Resource Centre helping war-worn Sudanese refugees settle into their new country. He knew what they'd been through. He'd lived with it too. He was still living with it. Just. Then he met Georgina. She was looking for her daughter Nell's lost dog one day. Knocked on his door, liked what she saw. Came back for a visit, another visit, a longer visit, a stay one day, didn't go away, became the love of his life, became his wife. He told her he'd had some strife with depression and stuff, but she'd seen enough to know what kind of man he was. A keeper, she reckoned. But the black dog beckoned, always nipping at Shane's heels or gnawing at the back of his mind. One day a jet whined overhead the car park at work. One of Shane's colleagues noticed him dive behind a car. The Sudanese guy she was with wasn't far behind. They had the same look in their eyes. After a long illness, Georgina's dad died. Shane went to support her during grief counselling. The counsellor asked, has either of you ever experienced trauma? Shane's floodgates opened. The diagnosis was permanent and degenerative post-stress disorder syndrome caused by his work in Africa. He went to bed in a dark room, saw no one. Georgina stopped him from killing himself. He was in and out of psych hospitals, suffered panic attacks, terror, despair. Georgina hung in, said, I've met this amazing person. I've never had a friend like him. I'm not going anywhere. He sued Oxfam for negligence and incompetence. Inadequate briefing, no support, no debriefing, dropped into a hellhole and abandoned. Settled out of court because the proceedings traumatised him. Never got his day of justice, never got his say. The truth never saw the light of day. The right thing didn't happen. the right thing didn't happen. Maria Strinsos from the Relief Society of Tigray heard about Shane's court case, had heard of these two Aussie water mates for over 10 years, the respect shown their names, shed tears of shame at their neglect, called it a national disgrace, knew what she had to do. The president of Tigray is waiting at Mekelle Airport as Pete and Shane get off the plane. He hugs both men, looks in their eyes, cries at what he sees there. He escorts them to a state reception. Cheering crowds line the streets. In his speech he says, "You have no perception of the impact of your work in our country and the legacy you left behind. There is an Australian song that says, 'From little things, big things grow.' This is something you should know. You have done so much for the health of our citizens and our children because of the water from the well-digging programs you introduced at such great personal cost and with so little support. The Tigray people you taught now dig 300 wells a year and provide 60% of our country's drinking water. We can never repay you, but we wish to thank you and honour you." At first light, as the smoke from morning cooking fires spirals around the spires of the mosques of Mekelle, they're on the road to Umbaleli, the site of their first well. And it's still a sight for sore eyes as the crops grow tall and green from the water from a dozen wells, and joyful cries and ululation swell from the throats of way more people that can possibly live there. They're cheered and feted everywhere they go, and they go everywhere with an ocean of emotion and an ocean of tears like rain in the desert. Every villager remembers them with love and respect for what they did and how they did it. They were beacons of hope in a world without hope. The fruits of their endeavours are palpable and sweet with every mouthful of food they eat. They go to all the villages in which they've dug wells. There are more kids named Shane and Pete than you can ever imagine. At the last village, the kids line up to introduce themselves. Shane, Shane, Pete, Pete, Shane, Shane, Pete, Pete, Shane. "But you're a girl," Shane says to one of them. "I know that," she says. Looks at him as if he's stupid. "Girls can be called Shane too." Pete and Shane look at each other and start laughing and crying until there's no more pain left in the well. Back home in Tassie, Shane's working for Tigray again. Says it gives him a sense of self-worth to know that the equipment in the crates will be in the fields of Tigray in weeks doing good work, as he calls it. His psychiatrist says he's still got a long way to go and will probably always be vulnerable to stress, but Georgina, Nell and their young son, Soccer Boy, have felt the darkness lift as if he's nailing his demons into the crates where they'll soon be released and dispersed into the skies of Tigray from whence they came. Maybe that's why he's driving nails home, driving nails home, driving nails home. He says to his family, when someone in a Tigray village yells out, "Hey Shane!" and all these happy little faces with shining eyes and great big smiles look up, well, I guess that's got to count for something, eh? I guess that's got to count for something. Thank you.